Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Chime In. I am your host, 𝐿 Phillip, and today I am so excited about our program because this is my industry. I am the founder and director of 12 Degrees North, 61 Degrees West Grenadian Film Festival that is based in Grenada. And we are a platform that promotes and celebrates Black creatives throughout the Caribbean. I should say Caribbean and African diaspora filmmakers and creatives. That's what our premise for our film festival is based on. And today we have some amazing leaders and within the industry who are doing exactly the same thing that I am doing, providing a platform that is celebrating and promoting Black and brown talent throughout the industry. We also have a special guest. This is Dominique Remy. She is a colleague of mine, and we are currently co-producing a film together. I would love to take a moment to introduce you to Dominique. Dominique, tell the people out there who you are and a little bit about.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I am, it's taken a while for me to get used to this title, but I would say I'm an independent filmmaker. I'm a writer. I am working with the lovely 𝐿 Phillips on my first documentary feature on maternal mortality and morbidity in communities of color. If anyone's following the news, I know 𝐿 and I have been tracking this for about as long as we've known each other. I think we went to grad school together, film school, and we were the only two Black women. And when I became really interested in reproductive justice, health equity, and this specific topic of the documentary, I had to go to the other sister in the room, which was 𝐿. So since 2017, we've been tracking the news stories, but it's been increasing in quantity, the levels of which Black and brown women are dying during childbirth. So that's the project I'm working on now, and it's pretty much shaking my life, and learning from 𝐿, who's a veteran in the industry. But yeah, I'm a New York-based independent filmmaker.
And can you take a moment to introduce Marlon, who is here as a top leading exhibitor, marketer, and everything in the UK, our esteemed guest today?
Absolutely, yeah. When I had the pleasure of meeting Marlon and he told me his title, I was like, that is the ambition and the busyness that I wish. I'm just like, what's your potion? But without further ado, I would love to introduce Marlon Palmer, who is the founder and director and chief exhibitor of Kush Films. I hope I got it all right.
More or less.
Hi, Marlon. It's a pleasure to have you on Chime In. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I had the honor of speaking to you several times over the last year. I was introduced to you by my mentor, Roderick, and we unfortunately were not able to connect when I was in London last year, but I've always chimed in and pulled from your wisdom. So can you introduce yourself to all of our viewers out there who are eager to know a little bit about your background?
Okay. So yeah, I'm the director of Kush Films, considered, I would say, the leading independent marketing, PR, and film exhibition specialist. Now moved into full film distribution in the UK. So I'm one of the first guys to basically or start opening doors to UK cinemas and wanting to create a platform for Black filmmakers. Because when I started 22 years ago, things were very much different, and you know, it was very much hard work for the public and also for Black filmmakers to have their creative work seen, especially on the big screen. They weren't really showing Black films in the cinemas. I think even then, at that stage, even Hollywood was still, I don't think that Denzel had kissed a white woman yet. It was still very much, you know, it was still very much a segregated, you know, platform of Hollywood in a sense. So yeah, when I first started, I created a film club, which was called the Kush Film Club. The Kush now called the Kush Film Boutique, and I basically went into a cinema and said, look, I want to start showing Black films there, and basically was, you know, created the opportunity for myself and a job for myself, because there was no real kind of guidance for me before that in terms of, you know, other people doing the same thing. There was one other guy before me, but he was more kind of, you know, someone I totally respect, because he's the forerunner to me. But again, his thing was more for the industry, for people, other filmmakers in the industry, where what I wanted to do was for the masses. You know, I wanted to create public access for the masses and do big film screenings, glitz, glamour, and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of just kind of grew from there. And I think the key was to basically use mainstream films as a hook and use that to pull people in, and then they were forced to watch short films before the main feature by new emerging filmmakers. But then I kind of got into the knack of getting all the big mainstream film premieres and getting them as premieres or exclusive screenings, the Black films. So I probably worked on, you know, nearly every single Black film, major Black film anyway, that's been released in the UK, especially African American films, over the last 20+ years. So just recently this year we finished working, we did marketing campaign for Queen and Slim. Last year 21 Bridges as well. God, I mean, most of the major Black films, Selma, if you think of all the Black films I've worked on, you know, organizing marketing campaigns, bringing it to the Black community in the UK and getting paid to do so. You know, so it started off with me trying to create a platform for Black filmmakers and having to be begging the distributors for the films so that we can bring the films to the people. And then it flipped itself many years later, where they would be calling me and paying me good money to market and promote these films and bring them to the Black community. So yeah.
That's amazing, because you've said something about begging to bring Black films or independent filmmakers to the mainstream, and that is always a challenge in the Caribbean, and also for emerging independent filmmakers of color. Part of our biggest difficulties is finding proper representation to have our films, which are sometimes excellent films, that are not really what Hollywood might be interested in, but are films that are strong enough to have good messages out there. But we are so challenged because of lack of spaces to showcase our work. How can we as Caribbean people continue to produce films and get our films in exhibitors' hands like yourself to showcase our work and also be sustainable in the process?
Well, again, it is tricky in a sense, because, you know, in all my time that I've been doing what I've been doing, there's very few films that come out of the Caribbean that make it here to the UK or make it make it into the public domain. I mean, there are a few. Last year, I also worked on Sprinter. I distributed. It's one of the first films that I fully distributed in UK. Sprinter, Jamaican film. Well, Jamaican American producer. He's of Jamaican background, but also American. Connected. He's based in America. So Storm Salter's film. Director Storm Salter.
Yeah.
So
I'm familiar with this.
Yeah, and obviously that is a slightly higher caliber film. So again, you know, as I always tell filmmakers, it's all about the intention. It's starting, you know, in terms of how you mean to finish. A lot of filmmakers, you know, they're only thinking about the filmmaking process, and they basically leave everything else till after they've made the film. And it's like they're thinking about, a lot of them are thinking about distribution after they've made the actual film, where they should be thinking about the whole process right from the beginning, in terms of, you know, making those connections, or connecting with people. Because you only have to do your research now. The world is a much smaller place with the internet. It's easy to do your research, find out who are the players in London, America, or wherever. And this is how I done it. And it's just find out who is who, basically, and then making contact with these people, creating relationships. You don't wait till you've got a film to give to them. You maybe start connecting with people through LinkedIn, through social media platforms, and just making them know who you are. You know, you're going to be coming with your film at some stage or whatever, but just, you know, finding out what the criteria is for them to accept films, be interested in also what they are doing. And it's just basically having that right mindset. With all young filmmakers, emerging filmmakers, I mean, to me, for one of the key things in this industry is your mindset. And I don't think people realize how important it is, because you're going to get rejection, you're going to find hurdles, you're going to meet pitfalls, you're going to meet everything. You've got to be ready for that. And you also got to be determined and resilient enough not to let those things stop you or hinder you in what your full intention is. And you know, that's a reflection of myself. I won't be here, you know, doing what I'm doing. I won't be here 22 years later, because when I told everyone what I was going to do in 1998, everyone said I was crazy, I was mad. They said that ain't going to work. Black people don't support black films. Black people are not going to come and watch films in cinema. Black people are not going to do this. But 22 years later, I'm here doing what I'm doing. I said the industry pays me to promote a lot of mainstream black films. I've got a relationship with most cinemas in the UK. They all know who I am. Most of the CEOs of a lot of the big companies are people I know when they were juniors, just coming up in the industry. And now they're the head of, you know, they're the head of 20th Century Fox. They're the head of whatever, blah, blah, blah. I can pick up the phone or email and contact these people. And that's just through belief in myself, perseverance, being innovative, not taking no for an answer, which is very key, and just being persistent. So yeah, Caribbean filmmakers just need to just explore. They need to come out the island, get rid of the island mentality. They look at the world. The world is their oyster, you know. And so that's my kind of advice to them, basically. People are out there to help them get that foot up, to help them build their careers, to help them be successful in whatever, you know, whatever their plans are.
No, I hear you on that. But you know, to a lot of I'm not trying to defend anyone's actions, but with lack of resources, I know the internet is there. Accessibility to making networking is way much easier than before. But then at the same time, a lot of us are unaware where to start. And the mere fact that a lot of money is not really invested back into the industries throughout the Caribbean region, I also think that is something that is a disadvantage for a lot of emerging filmmakers. So when if someone come to you and they're emerging and the quality of the work is not that great, in my opinion, it's almost like wasting your time. Yes, you can give them feedback, but it's almost like wasting your time because they're not ready yet. So
no,
from that,
they're not wasting my time, they're wasting their own time. They are.
Yeah, because
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's the truth of it. It all, to me, it all boils down on the person and how serious that person is. Because, yeah, it's we're black people at the end of the day. Look, it's hard everywhere. Even in the UK, it's hard. It's still hard now. It's much easier, as you say. But again, when I first started back in the day, it was much harder. People were making films with, it was like 35mm. And it wasn't now anyone can get a little digital camera and go out and start making films. And these guys, you've got the whole Nollywood scene, even here, the Nollywood scene. These guys go out there and just make their films. Yeah, some of them are absolute crap, but we're not interested in some of them. But in a sense, you've just got to. It's your intention to, maybe you're going to start from one place, but you're going to end up somewhere else. So you've got to be trying to strive to improve yourself in whatever way you can. And I'm sure you can do that. I'm not in the Caribbean now and know exactly what facilities are there, what universities or colleges and that stuff are offering. But I think that the capabilities and the possibilities are there if your intention is there, if that's what you believe. I mean, it depends on what you're using as a starting base to look at. And if you're looking at high-end films and you're looking at quality films, that's what you're going to aspire to. And I'm sure if you believe in that, you can get there and start making quality films. But I think some people just they only believe they can make a certain type of film, so they just produce that, basically, at the end of the day. I mean, you start off knowing what the situation is in the Caribbean already. So sometimes you can't blame something after the fact, and you really know that's the situation. You know that you don't have the resources. You don't have. So then you've got to come up with a plan to get the resources, to get access to the things you need. Even if you have to borrow it, you have to beg it. Yeah, I want to teeth it, but you've got to. Yeah, it's just, believe me. That's in everything that I've done. I just believe it was my will, my intention. That's got me, to be in some of the biggest cinemas, and to get some of the biggest films, and then also spin it around where people are called, the distributors are called big. Some of the major distributors are calling me. It's a matter of intention. I know that people talk about this thing about law of attraction and all that kind of stuff, and universal thinking, and how you attract things into your life. I mean, I kind of strongly believe in a lot of that, and it's all about the energy that you're putting out is the energy that you're going to get back in again. You got to think big.
No, I totally agree. We're coming out from a very traumatic period with COVID. From an exhibitor's perspective, what are some of the challenges and opportunities you're seeing right now out there that independent minority filmmakers are open to, or for minority filmmakers, I should say, both within the Caribbean and African diaspora?
Well, obviously the challenges are cinemas being closed and cinemas now just starting to open back up again. It's going to be a slow process, and I don't see the industry really kind of getting back to any sort of normality until probably next year, really and truly. It's again, you can only get half the number of people in the cinema now, because it's basically it's social distancing in the cinema. There are all kind of rules and regulations now, so everything is on hold. It's kind of on hold in terms of the uncertainty. You don't know exactly what's kind of happening, but I suppose people now are just looking at other opportunities, and maybe just can we go direct? Can we sell our film directly to Netflix, or can we sell it to some other streaming platform? And people are looking to kind of just not do festivals and maybe just get paid. And in some cases, maybe that's the best way to go for certain filmmakers, is to try and get paid from what you do. Unless you're a real serious filmmaker, and you're just trying to build up your name and your brand, and CV, your resume, so people can get to know who you are. But again, festivals, that's going to be a while. Everything's online now, online festivals. I'm not sure how much it's going to benefit people. Well, it's not going to benefit people in the same way as it was before, because the thing about festivals as well is it's not just that they're screening your films. It's that you're there, you're meeting people, you're networking, and opportunities coming forth to you. Just sending your film now to some online festival and they just put it online. It's not the same as actually being in a cinema, and actually being at a festival and meeting people and being able to talk to people face to face. So yeah.
I think, go ahead, Dom, you're saying something?
Yeah, no, I think that there's a lot of uncertainty that I can glean from what Marlon is saying, and it's kind of like having to roll with the punches. But that's also one thing that's really great about the industry, is that it's very innovative. It's inherently innovative. Like, television came out of the changing tides of radio and camera work and all of that great stuff. So I think even though there is a lot of uncertainty, I do believe that there's going to be a point where industry people will come together, and there'll be pivots where it'll make a difference in terms of collaboration and also networking and trying to get the content out there. So I mean, hearing that, I'm really happy that you asked that question, Shada, because how many times do I message you? I'm like, okay, what about COVID? How's the industry going to look? And I really do appreciate Marlon's answer about that. But there was one thing that stood out to me when you were speaking, Marlon, which was discipline, and doing all that you can with the resources that you have to get your foot in the door. I was wondering though, on the other side, what is it like when you are in that door? What does Marlon say to then flip it for people to come to you? How do you how do you come up with the language? What goes on when you are in the room?
Okay. I don't know. I'm just trying to break it down, because again, there's some higher forces in play, especially in my life. Anyway.
Right. Share as much as you can comfortably share.
Yeah, no, it's just trying to break it down. I can share all of it, but it's just trying to explain it, because sometimes you can't explain it. It just happens. It just happens. It's the key thing was that when they started to come to me, basically, it was after a period of time that I realized I had to work on myself. But there was a period of time when I was getting very frustrated with the whole industry, getting very lots of locked doors, hurdles put in my way, cinemas acting funny with us after us. We've been at, for instance, we've been based at a cinema for over a year, screening films. People come in there, and then suddenly they make some excuse and say, "Oh, thank you very much, but yeah, we want to do something else now." And it's almost and there was one time, I thought I was going to go crazy and banging my head against the wall, thinking, what's the problem? Why am I keep hitting these hurdles, or why are these people acting funny with us, and blah blah blah, or this is just the industry, and it's just the same thing that's kind of people are talking about now, about diversity and about Black Lives Matters and being respected as Black people. I've encountered all of that, and the thing is, when things changed for me was when I realized that what I needed to do was to work on myself. And I didn't focus on the industry. I focused on myself in terms of my own mindset and how I kind of was approaching things. And I kind of realized as well through some teaching, I do personal development. I've been doing personal development for about 18 years now. This industry has made me take up personal development. Personal development is when you work on on yourself, how you kind of approach life every day, how you look at things, how you think about things, try and look at things in a more optimistic way, more positive way. You have more belief in yourself and belief that things are going to go the way that you want them to go. You also set your path, lay out your goals, all that kind of stuff. And once I worked on myself and I made myself, I changed my inner self in a sense, then I don't know, the phone just started ringing. The phone just started ringing, people just started calling me. Now, once you're in there, I think, to me, I think most black people that I've met, I think they know how to handle themselves. The majority, not saying all, but we're naturally born hustlers. We're naturally born speakers. We know how to handle ourselves. And once you kind of get into that office, it's no different to any other. It's just this perception that is different, but it's not always different. It's how you carry yourself. So I may be the only black guy in the room, but when I come in there, I'm making them respect me. They have to respect me. And I'm a big man. So when I step in there, I ain't making no youngers, no young executives or whoever talk down to me. And they don't call me no Marlon like I'm their friend. I'm Mr. Palmer. And I make them respect me at the end of the day. Plus, I'm the cool black guy in there with the gold tooth, so they all want to be my friends. They all want to hang out with me. I just, it's how you basically. It's you. It's your persona, and it's just how you're not coming there timid. I'm not coming in there like I'm begging you for anything. I'm coming in here to deliver something to you. If you give me the opportunity, I can deliver it, and I'm confident in who I am and what I do. That confidence just rubs off, and it basically, I've never failed. I've never gone anywhere or into any situation to get a job, and I've come out and I haven't got that job. So I think yourself is the most important thing.
Mm-hmm. Building on what you just said about confidence and having that sort of directives in the sense of convincing yourself that you are going to acquire getting that job because that's your intention and that's your mission. My question for you is, in this climate that we're in right now, where everything is uploaded on social media, or online. There is so many online streaming sites right now. A lot of independent filmmakers and also established filmmakers feel that the only way now to get themselves out there is putting their things up there for free online. So there is a plethora of free content just hitting the wave every single day. My question for you, for people like us who have these platforms, do you think that our platforms are still relevant in this age?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not going to make you a lot of money. Well, not initially. You never know, because there's people out there nowadays looking at these platforms and they're looking for what they can tap into and actually make money from. But I kind of hear what you say, because to tell you the truth, it's not something that I kind of encourage at the end of the day. I think it's an easy way of doing things nowadays, and I think people are lazy. Everyone seems to be making short films these days and just putting them on YouTube. But then I would expect a lot of filmmakers, especially I'm looking at, for example, here in the UK, a lot of young filmmakers making films, short films, and you would expect them to sort of then graduate after a while to go on to make feature films. But people just seem to be stuck on short films these days, and they just keep making short films. They keep putting them on YouTube. I don't see the point of that. But at the end of the day, there are examples. For instance, like the guy is a rapper over here, a rap man, who's made a film called Blue Story. But he first made us a short film called Shiro Story, which he put onto YouTube, and it garnered many views and became very popular. and through that he got noticed by Jay-Z and his team. He got signed to Jay-Z, maybe because he's a rapper as well. And through their work, they managed to get a deal with Paramount Pictures and the BBC Films to actually turn the short film into a feature film. And that film has now become one of the most popular, or it's the highest grossing Black British film of all time. That happened last year, Blue Story. And Blue Story was kind of a gang story. It was about gangs here in the UK. But there was lots of controversy because young people was also going to the cinemas, and there were fights at the cinemas, and all the press and news media blamed it on the film. And they tried to ban the film, but in the end, through a backlash with the Black community, they had to put the film back into cinemas. So the film ended up garnering a lot of attention and making a lot of money. So it can happen like that, but generally, I think you just putting your film on YouTube is a way of just building up your resume and building up your brand, who you are, and that kind of stuff. And then you're meant to sort of graduate to try and make a feature film. But there's so many filmmakers out there that I see now. They just stuck on short films, and you're not going to make any money from short films. So
Cleve said,
go on, sorry.
No, one of our audience members said feature films require a lot more time, money, and resources. So he did not expand on it, but I'm assuming that's the reasoning why a lot of people are focusing short as opposed to feature, especially from communities like the Caribbean and within the diaspora here. What is your take on that?
Yeah, but aren't they in the industry to become a filmmaker? Filmmakers make films, feature films. End of the story. What short films are?
I agree with. So I agree absolutely. Like those are like objectable facts. Like it takes a lot more time to make a feature.
Of course.
Money, and so there's certain resources that aren't quite available. But I do agree with what Marlon is saying, in like maybe utilizing these platforms to create what I had spoken with a TV writer for Ava DuVernay's Queen Sugar and Grey's Anatomy. And she said, one of the things you have to do for yourself as a creative is to create heat for yourself. And I think that is kind of like what Marlon is saying, especially in terms of like, okay, if you're going to make short films and you're going to utilize these platforms, there needs to be an end game. You can't just put out short films.
And just continue to put out short films.
Yeah, just continue to put out short films, because then when we're talking about creatives, like short or feature, when we're talking about time, there's still burnout. Like I am like in myself, like trying to lobby for like some kind of like director's PTSD. Whatever you do as a director, as a producer, that takes so much out of you. So like you have to be a little bit more strategic when you are producing content and putting it out there. If it's not creating heat for yourself and leading to what Marlon explained, like getting signed by Jay-Z, BBC, and Paramount, and like having something more, or like having a concept out there, at least like letting people know where you are visually, talent, like your talent, and like what your story is as a storyteller, then it really just doesn't make sense to just put your film out there.
Yeah, it's exactly as they say. There's a saying that it takes as much energy to do the small thing as it does to do the big thing at the end of the day. So if you might as well go and try the big thing. It's like some people just they're not even trying it. They just resign to say, oh, it's too difficult. It's too difficult to make a feature film. You don't know until you've tried it at the end of the day. At the end of the day, you probably will find that once you put your mind to actually doing it, that you can actually do it. There are people, as we know, there are many people out there making feature films, whether they're low budget feature films or mid-range or higher budget. There are people out there making feature films, and obviously it's if you're then looking at making a feature film, obviously you know that you can't do this on your own. You need to go and find our people out there who are then gonna make it easier for you, because there's a team of you working together with the same intention, and it just makes it a lot more easier at the end of the day. But again, it's all about the intention. You're not gonna get too far. It's like you're just doing it as a hobby, as a pastime, in a sense. You're not going to get too far if your mindset is just about making short films. I mean, back in the day when I started, everyone made short films. Go on.
Yeah. One of the things that I am recognizing as a festival also, I agree with the points that are raised here. Because one of the things that I am seeing as a festival director is the fact that when we have a call for submissions, there is a lot more short films that we are receiving than that of feature-length films. And when you're programming the festival now, it's like you have this whole concept of you have to package it, where you have multiple shorts, as opposed to, so it's becoming the norm just to have short programs versus that of feature-length films. So you're seeing a reversal in those things. But then again, we're catering to the region, we're catering to the pockets of the independent filmmakers, because quite often, yes, we want to make films. We are in this business to make films, but it costs so much at times, and finding access to resources to make it possible, that's always the challenge. Someone out there, you can go ahead and then I'll read the comment that is out there. What would you say on that, Marlon?
Well, that is the challenge. Embrace the challenge and face the challenge. And I perfectly understand what you're saying. Obviously, I don't really. I'm not really. I don't do festivals, so I'm not really catering, or my mindset is not geared towards film festivals. But I fully understand what you're saying. Like I said, there's nothing wrong in making short films. It's having an end game.
I agree.
I said before, and moving forward, and having a plan that you're going to move from short films. And what I was going to say before, back in the day, everyone made short films, but they graduated from short films to feature films, and they went on, to after that. So I just think people are not even thinking that far now. They're just stuck on the short film thing, and then. Can you point out anybody that's really got famous for making short films, or anyone who's made a lot of money for making short films, or someone that's really helped to change the narrative about Black people just with only short films? That's all done through feature films at the end of the day. So it's harder, but at the end of the day, it can be done. There's lots of people out there making. I mean, I've seen films from the Caribbean. I've seen, because I used to deal with Barbara in Jamaica, Barbara Blake. We used to do the Reggae Film Festival, and we used to get quite a number of films from Jamaica. Some of them are low-budget films, people running around the streets with wooden guns and all that kind of stuff. But it's the imagination that person wanted to make a feature film. He didn't want to make a short film, and they went out and tried to make a feature film, low budget, but they showed it can be done. And it's just, you can even graduate from that to start making bigger and better films. So it's just the intention. So I always, in my mindset, is that you always start how you mean to finish.
Yeah. Someone asked a question about the streaming platform. They said, about the streaming platform, what is your take on the region's restrictions? The diaspora is everywhere around the world, yet we cannot show our support because they aren't available to us. So that is a statement or question that is built in here. So I'm assuming that the person is asking, because that's always a challenge. within the region right now, there is so much restrictions as far as what is being consumed or what is being visible or what is being shown within, I guess, with geo-blocking and all of those things. So accessibility is always a problem. The diaspora support, that's another thing in order to get the numbers, in order for distributors and other individuals like yourself to invest in what we are doing, it comes down to numbers. You are a numbers man, and that's what it is. So how can we produce films and have that lure to have the diaspora interested in us? Because there's only a handful of Caribbean feature-length films that have theatrical releases that we can make. And I think that is the biggest deterrent as far as finding more independent filmmakers from the region to produce these films.
No, but I would say, I think there are more and more platforms. If people do their research, there are more and more platforms starting to appear now. In America, kind of going to be, maybe over here as well, where people can sell their content too. Yeah, I understand, you have it's limited when you're only stuck in the Caribbean. Then it's difficult for other people to other people in Europe or in America and other places to see your content. But then you've got to then take your content to the different other platforms and make sure your content is getting out everywhere. So I mean, for instance, I know you have like 𝐀𝐍𝐶 TV, KWELI. 𝐀𝐍𝐶 TV is a colleague of mine. I spoke to her this week. They're based in Washington DC, and they're looking for content right now. Always looking for content, positive content, good content, black content. And there are, I'd say that there are people like myself. Yeah, it is a numbers game, but we understand also the bigger picture and what we're trying to do as black people globally, and we need to kind of be more open-minded and be there and available and open to supporting one another, because we're not going to be able to move forward right now. The whole Black Lives Matters thing is a massive push forward point right now, and we all want to support one another. I want to support other black filmmakers. My whole thing that I started here with Kush and New Urban Image was to create a platform for black filmmakers. So it's not always about money, because I'm always open about creating new opportunities for myself. I'm not sitting down waiting for the industry. There's too many of us looking at what the white man is doing, what the industry is doing. Let's create our own opportunities. Let's create our own revenue streams. Let's look at how we can change the game, disrupt the game, and create revenues for ourselves. So I'm always looking at that and how I can help black filmmakers create new opportunities. I'm hoping to within the next year, maybe possibly, but yeah, by the end of this year, I've got my own online platform as well, where I'm looking to garner content from filmmakers, short films and feature films, and looking to do a revenue share with them, and we create our own opportunities, and not sit there waiting for Netflix or waiting for all these other companies to let us through the door.
You just mentioned revenue share, and that's the biggest thing right now, because one of the things COVID had taught me is coming out of this whole thing, and as a festival, we also had to restructure a lot of things. And we had to re-strategize. How do we keep our filmmakers invested? Because I'm wearing two hats. I'm a filmmaker, so I understand the grind, I understand the pain, I understand the fact that you need money to continue doing the things that you're doing. And from a festival perspective, I understand also that we need to restructure the model that is out there. A lot of people in festivals are saying this revenue share thing is not going to work. What is your take on that?
Why is that? Maybe you could type in there and ask somebody why.
Not in here. I'm on a different platform for festivals, and you're hearing that in the airwaves, that a lot of people, a lot of festivals, a lot of exhibitors, a lot of distributors. They're not really on this whole thing for revenue shares for independent filmmakers who are navigating the film circuit world.
Okay.
So I guess it's a little bit different from your.
Yeah, but obviously you're looking at the bigger platforms. Is that not right? You're looking at the bigger platforms. There's smaller platforms that are out there willing to do, who are looking for content, hungry for content, and who will do revenue share. So, at the end of the day, it all depends on what content you're bringing to them to get some sort of a revenue share. But there are more opportunities out there. Like I said, check out 𝐀𝐍𝐶 TV. And there's other platforms out there as well. Even short films. You've got Shorts TV as well. Shorts TV, they buy content as well and do revenue share. I've sold a number of short films to Shorts TV. So there are, if you look around, there are companies out there, distributors that are looking for content. I think I wouldn't agree with it totally. Said that it wouldn't work. It's not going to work. It's maybe they're looking at something. They're talking about long term, and people looking to make a living off of that long term. Maybe that's not going to work. But if it's just you're looking to try and for the time and effort that you put into making a short film, you're looking to kind of make something back from that. Then there are possibilities with that, and also decent, low budget, but decent production films. You can make some money from as well. You're not gonna get rich from it. That's obvious. You're not gonna get rich, but you can make some money from it. Yes.
That is so true. One of my biggest reasons, as I said earlier, for establishing the festival was also just for that main purpose, to get eyeballs on your content. Because what you're finding quite often is a lot of the more established film festivals and platforms out there, we do not get that opportunity for our films to be part of that programming. We just don't. And for a Caribbean film festival that is based out there and providing that opportunity, what is interesting for me is the fact that when we open up call for submissions, it is not just the Caribbean people who are submitting their films. You're talking about people from globally across the world who are looking for new markets and new audiences to see their work, because we never know who is going to be seeing it, what distributor is connected to the film festivals. But then there is a lot of young emerging film festivals that automatically feel that every time they submit their film to a platform like ours, or like the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival, or the one in Jamaica or Barbados, automatically they're going to sign a deal, and they're not understanding the process. Can you school one of those emerging filmmakers as far as the due diligence that they need to be doing and how important smaller platforms like this is to serving them?
Well, again, as I kind of mentioned before, one of the key things is about education. It's about educating yourself about who is who out there, who is doing what. You've got to have a wide view of the whole landscape, and it's not only just in the Caribbean, but also what's going on in America, what's going on in the UK, or whatever. If you're a real serious filmmaker and you've got real intentions of being someone in the film business, so yeah, platforms like yours, because you don't know who's going to be watching. Like you say, we don't know who's watching here right now. You just don't know. So it's platforms like this are vital to introduce people like myself to new audiences. There are many platforms out there, and it's about you've got to be on your game. You've got to basically, this is your dream. This is what you want to be, a filmmaker. So you've got to be spending. It's not just about making films, but it's understanding how the industry works as well, and understanding what the processes are, and understanding where opportunities may lay. You're only going to find that out by spending the time learning the whole game, learning about learn about the various people who are out there changing the game, opening doors, like myself and like others in the States and also other places as well. I mean, there are, I'm sure there are people in the Caribbean who obviously have a lot of contacts with people in the States, and it's about this game's about who you know, and it's about context. So that's one of the key things that you've got to do. You're going to basically go out there and build your contacts, build your knowledge, the knowledge that you have yourself, in terms of how it all how it all works and what the processes are. So yeah.
Dom, were you saying something, or should I read the audience question?
No, I'm just taking it in.
Okay.
A lot of it is relationship building, which I'm coming from. Well, I don't know if I can say I'm coming from a PR background. It's been years. I'm more established now as a independent filmmaker, but having done public relations and marketing, it's like 60% of the work is building contacts and relationships, and you don't know where things lead. Sometimes things look really good on paper. You're like, oh, I'm going to connect with this person, and I know this is going to be the perfect opportunity, and people think very linearly in terms of if I do A and then B, then C will happen. But then you can be hit with, like Marlon said previously, closed doors. Sometimes something seems really great, but I think it's also about following a lot of leads and seeing where that takes you. And that is part of the education. The education of a filmmaker or anyone in the film industry is very varied and a years long process. It's not just, oh, how do I pick up the camera and shoot?
I totally agree. We had a question from Fix a Film in Trinidad, and it was for you, Marlon. The question was, as a Caribbean filmmaker wanting to make a feature, what advice would you give in terms of a quality control checklist?
God blimey. Remember, I'm not really a filmmaker, so you know what I mean. Quality control.
Yeah, from a distribution perspective, I guess you can chime in.
Yeah, well, from a distribution process, it's basically, as I said, again, starting how you mean to finish. So right from the beginning, when you're looking to start your production, even from when you're putting the script together, you should be thinking about distributing your film. How are you going to get your film distributed, and the things that may also get your films distributed. So sometimes even, as I told some filmmakers, even when you're writing a script, you're thinking about what are the things that can help to get your film distributed. Obviously, you want to get a named actor in your film, or someone who's an emerging actor, an emerging talent, things like that. You obviously want to make something like that is commercially, it's commercial, it's commercially driven. It's something that is, is going to be wanted by a distributor, wanted by cinemas. It's going to be popular to to the public, or a specific targeted audience within that public. Some people just make film because it's what they want to make. It's their passion. They want to make it for themselves, and they're not thinking about it from a commercial aspect and thinking about what these distributors are actually looking for out there at this time. So you've got to kind of do the research and understand what kind of films are they looking for, what films are they kind of making at this present time, and try and fit into that to make it easier for yourself, or give yourself a higher percentage chance to get your film distributed. So yeah, those are the kind of things. And so yeah, having a lead, a talented actor in your film. It's a commercially sort of driven film. What else is there in terms of distribution? I mean, those are the key things, because that's what a distributor is looking for. Distributors looking at your film to see if you can make money from it at the end of the day. If it's something that fits into the criteria that he really understands, makes money. and that people are looking for, the public is looking for at this specific time. So yeah, I think I'll end it on that.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Wow, the time is flying up so quickly.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's almost an hour gone already. Is there any, I'm looking to see if there's any more questions out there, because we could just keep going. I know right now in the Caribbean, before I make my statement, as a Black filmmaker, why is film festivals important to you, or why is that platform important to you, or relevant to you?
That's a good question. There's a lot. I would say right off the bat, it's the standard. It's the standard to have people who are from many walks of the industry, you know, distributors, sales agents, buyers, you know, people who are like really on that strategic end of the industry, all in one place, and who are looking for new content. It's definitely kind of like what Marlon's saying about like going in and like having this confidence and kind of maneuvering in that realm, because it's heightened competition when you are a filmmaker in a film festival where everyone is making product and they all want to get sold. So, and unfortunately, not every piece of content will be picked up. So that really, it's, you know, luck. It's your own talent and how you're able to sell yourself and what you've created. But I would say, like, right off the bat, it's just like, it's really the industry standard to be in a place where industry professionals are, and that's their goal, is to get something from people who are creating. I would also say, in terms of networking, not just networking because you want to, like, the end goal is to, you know, get your stuff sold, but like networking because this is your work, this is your job. And a lot of us are, especially indie filmmakers, we're not like tied down to any 9-to-5. I'm not clocking in at any place where I have consistent coworkers. So this is kind of the social aspect of the industry, where you're meeting with people who you can commiserate with. You know, there's a lot of solidarity with people who are experiencing near similar things as you in terms of like what it takes to be a filmmaker. So I think that's really important. And then also there's just so many now, even from when I was working in a digital video marketing and trying to do that crossover with digital film. There's just been such an increase now with the different types of festivals that are like that are niche and are catering to people who look like me. And, you know, I think that's really important resource that we need to continue and to, I think the end goal for me is we have a lot. We're like at the brim when it comes to creativity and storytelling, but there is still so much gatekeeping, which, you know, we can have so many filmmakers who are Black, brown, and from, you know, various backgrounds, but the executives, the studio executives are still white and men, you know what I mean? And like, we need to start to make paths forward for ourselves where like, I'm also the person who's making that executive decision. And I think that definitely starts with, did we lose Shida?
It looks like that. It looks like
I think we lost her. I'll say this, that we definitely need to start making paths where it's not just we're sitting in a pool where like, oh, okay, we're going to be exchanging content amongst ourselves, you know, in the diaspora, but also moving forward so that we are also industry leaders. And it's not this gatekeeping where we're creating content for a specific audience who will then be saying like, that's what the culture needs, but we're creating for the people, and we are the people who are creating it. Yeah, so I think that's why film festivals are really important from the filmmaker's perspective.
Absolutely. You're the host now. You take over.
I am the host.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I agree with you totally. And it's a similar thing in terms of where I am. You know, I don't sit there waiting on no film distributor to bring work to me. You know, and you're back. And also, you know, I learned a long time ago from the very beginning to bypass the gatekeepers, and I made it a position of mine to bypass all gatekeepers, and I found ways how to do that. And one of the easiest, for instance, like what I do in, like, you know, again, like, as you mentioned, in marketing, PR in the film business. And when I first started, and I wanted to contact a lot of the film companies, and I would find that I would phone the film companies, and I would hit the gatekeeper. And sometimes these gatekeepers are just the person who answers the bloody phone. You know what I mean?
Oh.
So, right? And I realized, go on.
I was gonna say, it's funny that this is such a creative industry, but the people at the top have zero imagination. Yeah. So even when you're pitching something and you're like, this is gonna be good, and you pitch it really well too, and you come with the resources and the confidence, and you have the whole package, it's just like they just don't.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but continue.
Yeah, no, I fully understand you. Exactly. And it's like they just have this pre-position already that you're a black person, so whatever you're coming with, it's foolishness, or it's not of the standard, you know? Yeah. So for instance, as I was saying, when I first started, to be able to talk directly with the head guys, I had to do research and find out who the top man was for that company. And then I found out how they configured their emails in a sense. So I may not have had the email address for the top guy, but I found out how they configured their email and a rough idea. And then I would just configure the email, 20 emails. Say the person's name is Philip Hunt. So I would just basically, you know, Philip.Hunt, Philip_Hunt, Philip blah blah blah, lowercase, uppercase, and I would send 20 of these emails, and I would just watch which ones would come back to me. And then I know those are them ones are bounce back, they're no good, and I see which one went through. And do you know how many times I did that and actually got a response back from the top guy who responded back to me? And that's how I built up the relationship, and I bypassed all the gatekeepers. And in all my relationships, I don't talk to no gatekeeper. When I talk to any secretary, as I said, or anything like that, they're just passing me through to the top person. I don't speak to them. They can't speak to me. And don't be calling me Marlon. It's Mr. Palmer to you. As I said, that's how I deal with them. I make them have respect for me, and I deal with the top people. And I only deal with the decision makers, and that is how I've managed to kind of get through. And again, as you said, you kind of you build up contacts and you build up relationships, and over the years, they've got to understand who is the top guy in terms of doing, you know, marketing for film releases and blah blah blah. So every time they turn around and say, "Oh, we've got a new film," they say, "Okay, we need to speak to some black person." Oh, Kush, Marlon Palmer, call Marlon Palmer. It's like, because they take the easiest option, and that's what they do. So you get the phone call, and then you just keep getting that phone call, because again, they all talk to one another. So you keep getting that phone call. So it's making contacts, you know, building up relationships by being innovative in what you do, being resilient in what you do, having absolute belief. Like I say to a lot of young filmmakers, young people in the industry, look, if you can't go through the door, go over the wall. You can't go over the wall. Dig underneath. If you can't dig underneath the wall, go around, take the long way around and go around the whole wall. But all you know is that your intention is to get where you need to be. No, don't let nothing stop you.
I like that.
If your intention is like that, you will get there eventually.
On that note, Mr. Palmer.
Thank you. Thank you.
On that note, thank you so much. I mean, whenever we get into this kind of discussion from the creative world and the things that we are doing, there are so much things to unpack. Like an hour goes by so quickly.
Yeah.
Film festivals are something, distributors, exhibitors, as Mr. Palmer is, all these different platforms are necessary for the work that we do as festival organizers, providing opportunities for our creatives. The time is now for us to be collaborative and help each other amplify the work of aspiring and veteran filmmakers to tell the stories that are important to us in a positive way that represents who we are as a people, our culture, and our heritage. Mrs. Solomon was supposed to be here today. She texted me that she had an emergency and able to make it. I know some people were expecting her to be on the platform. I hope everything is okay. Mr. Palmer, thank you so much for dropping in the wisdom from an exhibitor's perspective. Because it is very important for us to see that there are people who are in different positions, doing the things and making the decisions and being champions for us and the work that we are working so hard on putting out there to the world. Dom, thank you again for your time. To all of our audiences out there in the world.
Oh. Oh no.
Oh no. Well, I guess
my internet is being crazy today. So on that note, I would like to say enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening, and we will certainly pick up again. Goodbye.
Can I say quickly?
Yes.
I'm always here to help my fellow filmmakers and aspiring young people. If they're serious, because they've done here what I said already, if they're serious and they're focused, they can send me an email, info@kushfilms.com, info@kush, Kush, films, films.com. And if I can, give some feedback, give some help, give someone a foot up, then I'm always willing to do that.
I will certainly include that in the comments so people can get access to you. Dom, before we leave, contact information for people to reach you, or we can drop it in the comment.
Oh, yeah. So I'm all about the film. So you can reach me at @𝐻𝐾naryfilm@gmail.com. Or I'm pretty active on social media. I am at Canary Filmmaker on Twitter, and the film is Canary_film.
All right. On that note again, goodbye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Are you still